in terms of matchup?
50-50.
50-50?
I have absolutely no idea. I think both teams will be strong. So yeah, with that in mind, it's going to be a draw, I guess.
I think Vici has more potential, but Empire has proven to be, I think, way stronger in the past 3 or 4 months.
Okay, what about you, Winter?
I think it's 50-50. Anyone can take it. It's very hard to say because it's the first series that each of the teams are playing. We haven't seen anything at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, 1-1, I feel it's more than likely will happen. Like maybe someone will surprise someone, the opponent with something that's new, or they need some time to get into the zone, you know.
That's true. Obviously, again, both teams playing their very first match. So in some ways, they're starting on even ground. No one's had kind of more warm-up time than the other in this one for Group B. Also, let's talk about kind of team styles before we go into the draft so that we have more time to analyze the draft itself once we start. Is there anything we want to look out for, very specific in terms of, well, this team so far has tended to prefer certain heroes. I mean, obviously, we've discussed other ones in the past. Are there any repeats carrying on over from the other teams we saw earlier, like Undying?
Wisp. I think. That's not really a repeat, but this is going to be a hotly contested hero, I think. Vici Gaming is one of the only Chinese teams that actually prioritizes drafting the IO in a lot of games. And Empire definitely are not strangers to playing IO either. So I would expect it to be picked or banned in both games. I don't know which phase it's going to be, but
I mean,
I personally think it's been underpicked this tournament so far. It's been a short tournament, right? So it can still happen, but
yeah, I mean, but we've been surprised generally, even in the.
It's not really fair to say that though, because I feel like the teams that actually play better on Wisp haven't really started to play. So
Cloud9 didn't play yet. 2 series.
Yeah, that's the only team that comes to my mind. The rest of the teams.
MMY plays it for LGD.
Yeah, they did have it like one game, didn't they?
Did LGD have it today?
I actually can't remember.
I mean, we've only watched one of their matches here, and then the other ones I can't remember off the top of my head.
I mean, they are not a team that would snatch like Wisp like all the time though. So
no, it's true.
Yeah.
But as you were mentioning, Team Empire on screen as they're getting ready, warming up a little bit for the first match. They aren't strangers. Vici on the other hand, one of the few Chinese teams to bring that out. In that sense, and you bring up a good point, because sure, you say that, all right, it's been a short tournament, maybe it's not fair to say that, but we have been thrown off by a lot of the other common picks, like Undying maybe showing up a little bit more than we expected, Ember for sure being in that group. Winter, what about you? Do you think there's any heroes maybe we want to keep an eye on as we go into the draft phase?
I think Bristleback is actually still really good in this current meta and hasn't been picked that much. And I feel that he doesn't really need the IO too much as well. Like he can still function very well alone. Like obviously with IO he doesn't have to worry about mana so much, but I still think it's a really good and strong pick at the current meta.
Yeah, I think several teams have been dissuaded because of Silver Edge being a really good counter to him. But yeah, he's definitely been underutilized. I think Sand King's also really important for probably Empire a little bit more so than Vici. But at the same time, I think Empire's like teamwork is really, really good. I think they can actually play versus a Wisp. I don't think they will ban it at all, or they might utilize Winter Wyvern.
Yeah, that's what the Russian teams usually do.
Yeah.
They just give away the IO and they just pick Wyvern in return, by the way.
But still, there's going to be a lot of opportunities in drafts in general where you can like pick, say, you can pick Wisp as the second pick of the last pick of the first phase, and then you just ban out Wyvern.
Right. It also depends on who gets to pick first.
Yes.
So when you say contention, obviously we're working around those mind games. Like who picks first? We'll take a look at that, and hey, do they want to pick it, ban it? Do they save it for the second?
I think the other hero is Tusker. Both of the teams play a very good Tusker.
Yes. That is true.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, General, of course, has been a pretty strong hero coming into TI5. All right, well, now we know a little bit on what to expect from Empire and Vici, both teams having a little bit more time to prepare as they, again, it's just their first match coming in. Overall, though, TI5, so far, I mean, it seems like in the community, everyone's pretty excited. Obviously, we've had some exciting games. We've had base races starting with wildcard play-ins coming in. We've had quite a few highlights. Hero pool seems pretty diverse. We were talking earlier, actually, about the item pool, too, right? Almost every single item has been used. The Casper was talking about it, too. Do we have, like, how many left that haven't been used?
What was it? We got 2. We had Rod of Atos, E-Blade, Silver Edge. We couldn't remember seeing Silver Edge, which is weird, because there's been like 2 or 3 Bristle games, but I think it didn't get picked up.
Yeah,
right. I mean, of course, we haven't watched every game like every minute, but as far as we can remember.
There was one more, I think.
But maximum, what, 4?
I guess we technically haven't had Dagon 5 either. We've had Dagon, but not
Yeah.
Okay, all right, we can count that if we want to. But yeah, not many. I mean, so we've had a lot of.
I guess that's pretty much it.
Adaptation. I mean, of course, part of that comes from the diverse hero pool, I guess, but
a lot more rapiers than I expected.
Yeah, that's that is
what?
true.
Thanks to Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean Cloud9 for sure, but the Mushibang 2 and then using both of them, even if it's only for 10 seconds, that was pretty awesome to watch.
The average game time has definitely been longer than I expected so far. Like we've had so many long games that makes for a pretty
I mean, so the past one was the longest one we've had so far, and I believe now IG is
4 1-hour games today. Is that right?
Well, yeah, 4 that have been over 1 hour. As far as we can tell. Maybe more on stream. I don't think so, though, because the other streams are generally over before we are. So I think we can safely assume that it's only been 4. But I wanted to bring up the point that, IG has been in the top 3 longest games of TI. Now, separately, just looking at TI history. So if we look at IG versus Cloud9, TI5, we could be looking at a record setter for sure.
Hopefully not.
Are you excited? I'm stoked.
200-plus minute games are a little bit too long for me, I think.
Yeah, 200-plus minutes. What about, 120-plus, over 2 hours? How's that?
What's the TI record, actually?
It's
definitely over 100. But I can't remember if we
earlier.
I think it was last year. Yeah. I remember there was one.
I thought it was TI3.
TI3, yeah. The longest TI game was.
Was it the game where with DK versus another team?
It was DK because it was
DK
with burning. It was with burning in that game, and it was really
10-slot Lone Druid.
It almost actually got to the dream where you actually have 12 slots on Lone Druid. It was really close to that.
Yeah, that's a goal to look forward to.
Yeah, we used to talk about it. Okay, they have Lone Druid. In case the game goes long enough, you have 12 slots.
All right, let's not give the players any ideas, right? Like trying to set their own little records. Like I had the 12 slot Lone Druid. But yeah, so far, I mean, we keep mentioning it, but less than even day 1. Sure, if we count wildcard plans, a day and a half, but already just wide diverse play in terms of action, whether it's different styles, different heroes. So that's been pretty exciting. I mean, obviously for you guys have been at multiple TIs by now. How does it compare so far just from the kickstart?
That's a pretty broad question.
Yeah, I mean, but in terms of the gameplay, right? Not what kind of food you've been eating or how much sleep you've been getting.
I mean, the hero diversity is definitely something that's improved a lot. It used to be maybe around 20, 30 heroes, maybe 40. I mean, back at TI2, it's around there. And right now, it's mostly, I think, almost every hero close to every hero, you can actually try. I mean, it's legit to pick the hero if you have a right strategy behind it. So, we have come to the day where Takis is,
That's true.
So
as terrible as that might be for some people.
I actually expected a lot more heavy committed pushing strategies with Dragon Knight, maybe the occasional Pugna, even Chen now and then, but that's been way less than I expected. And a lot more, maybe because it's a lot more Gyrocopter has been picked than I expected.
Think a lot of prioritization has gone into fighting. That's why Bounty Hunter has been in contention of first pick and first phase ban as well in a lot of the games. Teams are worried that, in case we get into a lot of skirmish, a lot of fighting, we don't want to fight against Bounty Hunter.
No. And actually, we're seeing the picks right now for Stream 2. That's MVP Hot 6 versus CDEC. They're just going into their very first game.
Pugna.
And Pugna's right there. Disruptor, we saw that yesterday, but haven't seen it today, I don't think. And then the Phoenix coming out, too, for CDEC. So a couple more heroes to add to the list. And again, if you want to check that out, if those are maybe matchups that interest you, or if you're just interested in CDEC versus MVP Hot 6, definitely go over to Stream 2. Right now, we are waiting for Empire versus Vici here on Stream 1. And then EG, of course, playing their second game against Newbie on Stream 3. So many streams, so many matches.
Newbie's won 2 games out of 3 so far. That is very surprising.
That's true, yeah.
They went 1-1 versus Virtus Pro. And the second game was actually a pretty convincing win by Newbie. And then they dominated EG in the first game.
Yeah, I mean, let's mention that, right? It's not just that they beat EG in game 1, but the style they won in was very convincing. It was most people are expecting, okay, maybe Newbie not going to be that strong this TI. We're looking at the picks here going into their game 2, it looks like, against EG, but Newbie just dominated EG in game 1. What are we looking at here for game 2? Are we seeing any changes for EG going up against Newbie?
Looks like EG are just trying to give away Lesh and beat it. They're doing it again.
Right.
And they're picking their Clinks again.
Yeah,
so maybe
Clinks,
that's their go-to hero for countering Lesh. They have a more well-rounded.
They have Clinks again against Lash. And they have a lot of bursts with their heroes to kill Lash. I mean, maybe they have a plan.
It's definitely a more well-rounded lineup for EG.
Yeah, it's much better than the previous game where, like Ben mentioned, you try not to have too many heroes that use Invis in a same team, you know.
No, if you're a different team though, like watching EG's games and you realize, okay, EG's whether they're trying to or they've practiced a lot giving Lesh out and they're trying to make this a thing for TI5. Are you really worried about that? And like, are you gonna get scared? Because in my head, right, if you're a strategist, you're EG. You're like, the only reason you would do that is to later mind game them and maybe get Lesh yourself.
I think he's just underestimated newbie. I remember like last year he showed that he had like a full game plan versus DK, and they ended up beating DK, and DK were favorites to go at least I would say top 2 TI. So I think that he does his homework. It's very clear that PPD knows almost every matchup that he's up against and has studied for multiple hours and multiple replays. But versus newbie, they don't have any games in the past couple months. And on top of that, no one actually viewed them as even a remote threat.
Right.
So I think he's just like, whatever, we'll give them less. They probably, aren't like, we don't know how much they practice with. I mean, how many teams are actually really versed with Leshrac because he's almost banned
all the time.
So I think it's just a little bit underestimating them. It's not a good way to start off your first match. But EG also has typical like poor group stage day one. It's a curse.
Yeah, well, those things are real, right? You have these habits for whatever reason, whether it's because of just your attitude or maybe just people getting used to the environment whenever they come to big tournaments on day one. Yeah, those things are definitely true. Some people just perform better in group stages. We've talked about that before. But now it looks like Empire versus Vici Gaming is ready. So again, I mean, if you want to find out if EG can make that work in Game 2, and hey, if they win that time, right, a lot of what we talked about maybe is going to change a little bit. So head over to Stream 3. For EG versus Newbie on Stream 2, it will be CDEC versus MVP Hot 6 in their first game of the best of 2. And here, we're about to go into Game 1 of Empire versus Vici Gaming. Empire, their first game here at TI5. And same with Vici Gaming, so this is a pretty important start for both teams. Also in Group B, we haven't had many matches yet, so we just saw what happened in Group A, right? LGD goes 2-0 on day one. They're already in the lead. They're feeling pretty good. They simply need to 2-0 two other teams. Not that that's easy. Easier said than done. But if they do that, they're feeling solid going into the main stage.
I think if they get one more 2-0, they're almost guaranteed top 4.
Top